Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand spanking new episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty, and with me is a man who once was so hardcore, and he's kind of hardcore now, he actually burst out of an alien's chest.
Wow.
Mr. Drew Celestino.
Damn.
It's topically
savage.
Because this week was the 30th? Yeah, 30th anniversary of Aliens.
Aliens, the sequel.
Aliens, the second one.
Yeah, the James Cameron edition.
Yes.
Wow.
30.
Pretty hardcore. So I'm not as hardcore as I once was. I would argue with you, but you're. Yeah, I feel you. Losing my luster a little bit.
Everything.
Don't tell the fans of The Long Cold Dark that though. I have to maintain my tough guy frontman image and all that stuff.
Everything tarnishes with age.
Well, some things get better with age, like wine and stouts, and
Very, very true.
I guess I'm neither, so it's all good.
Very true.
I am an IPA guy, and they do not get better with age.
As the fans learned last week.
Got to drink them fresh.
Dang Skippy. All right, here we are again. Episode number 4. We got some stuff to go over for you guys. It is Comic-Con weekend. Some stuff went down, so we're going to have a news section for you, and we're going to dive into another great episode of Daredevil. But, of course, before we get to all that, Drew, how was your week, sir? How you been?
As I choke on water here. Excuse me.
Don't
week was no, I know. Week was it was okay. Just okay.
Just okay?
Just okay.
Nothing fun or exciting happened? Maybe an anniversary of your daring escape from the uterus?
Yeah, that happened.
It was your birthday.
It was my birthday. I'm still on the fringes here of the mid-30s. Yeah, early mid, whatever. Yeah, it was my birthday. It was okay. It was good. It's good.
34?
34.
You're pretty much mid.
I'll celebrate when it's 37 for obvious reasons. It was good. The wife and I went to Wines in the Wild at the Buffalo Zoo. Interesting experience. I love animals, as you might know, but that event is a little. It's hard to enjoy the animals when you're surrounded by middle-aged lushes getting obnoxious. So
tipsy cougars were kind of out in full force.
Full force, and the gentlemen that were there, it's usually middle-aged guys who are just getting dragged along for the ride, or there to get tore up. But there was a lot of young people as well. But see, when I go to these sort of events, there's usually breweries there, and there was, but breweries were out in full force for the Wines in the Wild, so I enjoyed some fine brews. But the people that usually go to these events and look for beer are typically people who are just there to get tore up. I have this weird relationship with craft beer aficionados. It's like I am one.
I know a couple of them.
And yet I don't know that I like all of them, even though I am one.
Fair enough.
They come in different flavors and shapes and sizes. I just like to appreciate a good beer. Some of them are just some of them are just out for the highest ABV. They like to get tore up. Some of them go a little overboard with the cork sniffing.
Gotcha.
All shapes, all sizes. So it's kind of like comic fans. You got your casual fans, you got your hardcore fans, you got your real hardcore fans. It's fandoms have a lot of characters in them. Fandoms of all types. So we just do the best we can.
This is true.
I'm not judging, but I am.
Not judging. Not at all.
But totally judging.
Well, at least I'm not judging.
I accept judgment, so it's all good.
I don't judge until you start to annoy me.
Fair enough.
So, anything else going on?
No.
Cool.
I mean, something might be going on. I don't want to divulge any details yet, but something might be going on. I'll expand at a later date if it pans out, or if to be continued.
Possible breaking news on The Devil's Due.
The vaguest statement ever made on this podcast. That's why you folks download it, right? Vagaries. How about you? Any good, bad, indifferent?
It was an hour-long week. Work still kind of kicking my old butt.
Work will do that.
Yeah, mandatory overtime, extra 2 hours a day isn't fun. Although, this past Sunday night, I mentioned it on last week's episode. Evo happened.
It did.
It did happen. And it happened on ESPN2, and I watched it on ESPN2. I was a little skeptical going into it. Mm-hmm. They did a fantastic job.
Cool.
They treated it with like dignity and respect and treated it as a legitimate event, which it is. It was good for if you've never watched a fighting game tournament. They gave you like good background stuff, but it wasn't just for new people. Like they didn't have their commentators doing it; they had fighting game community commentators doing it.
Cool.
So
did they break it down for the casual audience who?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
They had a almost tutorial in the beginning of okay, this is what you're going to see, and here's how it interacts with each other, which is really cool. And they did a very good balance of making it accessible to new viewers and also catering to the community at large as it was. The presentation was fantastic. A couple things that I thought hurt the finals were not necessarily things with the coverage, but in the game, in Street Fighter, there's a lot of great stages that you fight on. But they only used one stage. There was a special stage that Capcom designed for the Capcom Pro Tour, if you will. And it's like a ring stage. It's a really cool looking stage, but that's the only stage they let them use. I thought that kind of hurt the presentation. And also the top 8 players, there were eight players, but there were only 5 characters used. Only because right now the gap, even though the game is very balanced compared to a lot of past games, but the gap between the higher tier characters and lower tier characters was definitely noticeable. There was a lot of like Nash versus Nash, Chun-Li versus Chun-Li, Chun-Li versus Nash. And I thought that kind of hurt the presentation because like I found myself for a couple matches getting a little like, okay, we've got Nash versus Nash. Let's get this on with. And then later on when it was just, kind of the same thing over again, I felt that kind of hurt the presentation a little bit. But overall, it was an extremely hype event. L.I. Joe, the only American competitor in the top 8, won his first match, but unfortunately was eliminated in his second match. And Infiltration ended up winning the whole thing. And I jokingly teased my friends who like to gamble on sporting events. I told them, guys, bet on Infiltration. And I was just kind of needling them because video games were on their beloved ESPN. They probably should have bet because I was right. But it was cool. It was really cool. So, yeah, that was pretty much my week. And up until last night, we saw Secret Life of Pets.
So did we. Yeah. I saw it last week.
It was cute. I liked it. I think it would have worked a lot better if they had done it as a series of vignettes with the different pets instead of like the whole big story. It was fun.
It was okay.
We needed to get out of the house. We needed a break from the baby who, when we got home, proceeded to give me my first full projectile vomit.
Ooh,
drenching.
Yummy.
I tell you, you know what hate smells like? It smells like baby milk vomit.
I've had with 5 dogs. I've had many a stench to deal with.
I've had dogs all my life too. There's no comparison. It's so far and above. It's literally one of the worst things I've ever smelt in my life.
Wow.
So that was my week.
Fun.
Looking forward to a nice restful weekend. Dear listeners, we'd like to hear about your week. We'd like to hear from you. What you think of the show. What some suggestions you might have for the show, what you like, what you don't like, please communicate with us. We want to hear from you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how do I communicate with you? Let me let you know. If you want to find us on the social medias, on Twitter, you can find us at Devils Do Pod. On Facebook, you can search facebook.com/Devils Do Pod or just enter the Devils Do into their search function. Or you can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com.
Email.
We haven't gotten any emails yet. I check. We're slowly but surely accumulating Twitter followers.
Those are good.
We've got some people tweeting at us. Some comments made on some Facebook posts. Nary an email yet. But yes, by all means.
That's okay.
Dear listener, communicate with us. We will communicate back to you. On Twitter, this is predominantly just me communicating. On Facebook, it is both of us. By all means. And please, share the show with others.
Yes.
Retweet us.
Disseminate.
Share the page. Get the word out. We think we've got a pretty good thing going here, and we want to spread the word and see how it can grow and become possibly something bigger.
Bigger and badder, because
Yay.
Lord knows that the content that we are covering on this show is also getting bigger and badder. So does that lead us into...
Segue.
Look at that segue. Look at that.
Dynamite dropping.
Professional almost.
Let's open up the case files for some news. And oh boy, did we get some news.
Yeah. Comic-Con weekend, like you said, man, and we're off to a running start.
Yes. Let's touch on something first that we had heard about earlier in the week. We kind of heard about before knew was coming. Something that, I'm sorry, is just so unapologetically awesome. The Captain America statue was revealed at Comic-Con.
It's pretty sweet.
It's a statue of Captain America. Now, for something like that to be unveiled at Comic-Con is, that's expected.
Mm-hmm.
But its home destination, where it will spend the rest of its days, is pretty awesome. Where might that be, Drew?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York.
Now, minor quibble. In the comics, Cap was a Manhattan boy. In the movies, they have made him a Brooklyn kid. So, nitpick. Minor nitpick, but if you're a New Yorker, man, those lines are they are drawn. So, just saying. And I also saw a fun little... There was a petition going around, and it's a little gesture I would like to see made. I don't know if Marvel actually got wind of it or if it's even included or not, but someone did say that they should put Jack Kirby and Joe Simon's name on the statue somewhere.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Those gentlemen deserve to live on forever in bronze for creating Captain America.
Yes.
So, but yes, the statue is impressive. I mean, it's no RoboCop statue. which there is in existence that was supposed to be put in Brooklyn, or I'm sorry, in Detroit, Michigan. But alas, Detroit got cold feet and they would not allow it to be placed in the park where they said they were going to allow it. So I don't know where that statue is. Maybe they should put it next to Captain America. RoboCop and Cap can hang out together.
It's created. It's out there.
It's somewhere.
A city that has declared bankruptcy said, let's put funds toward a giant.
No, it was fan funded.
Oh, it was fan funded. Okay,
yes.
All right.
And then they don't want it there though.
Yeah, but yeah, the Cap statue is pretty awesome. It's movie Cap more or less.
It's Cap.
It's a blend.
It's a Cap.
It's definitely a modern Cap costume, a more militarized
slightly
costume, pouches.
I have to see it again, but it looks like Captain America.
He's holding up the shield. He's leading the charge, and it's just this is the time we live in. There's a statue of Captain America. It's going to be in Brooklyn Park.
Yeah,
in a park in Brooklyn. I'm not sure the absolute name of it. So yeah, that was that.
Pretty cool.
We saw that earlier in the week. We're like, oh, we got to touch on that. Then between last night and this morning, Netflix. You may have heard of them. They put on the show that this podcast
I don't know what you're talking about.
Is centered around.
What is Netflix, Carl?
Typically at Comic-Con, even San Diego Comic-Con, big companies like that, they will show you like one thing. They'll show you maybe two things of like big things that even though other stuff is coming, they'll say it's coming, but they won't necessarily show you anything of it. Oh, Netflix doesn't do business like that.
Apparently not.
Netflix dropped not one, not two, but 4 teasers on us.
Yeah.
4. So, first off, and most pertinent to this show, Daredevil Season 3 is announced.
Yes, it was.
We all kind of figured it was coming at some point or another, but it was announced. The teaser.
Oh, it's happening.
Yeah.
The subway.
The teaser is essentially just a subway sign to Hell's Kitchen, a 1, 2, and a 3 in the traditional subway fonts, the red circle around them.
Correct.
Then there's a flickering of the lights, some fighting sound effects, and a little bit of blood splattering up on the subway sign, and the blood forms a D and a D.
Get hype. I mean, it's to be fair, it's not like unexpected.
Yeah. Well, no.
I mean, the show is a smash hit. It's not even funny, like how big Daredevil has become. I think they started out with the initial announcement of the original show. It was like, oh, we're going to do Daredevil, and then Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, and it was kind of like we hear it.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
We're always like comic fans who've been around a long time, especially with like movie stuff. We're always very wait and see.
Sure, and with especially after Daredevil had failed at the box office, and then Ben Affleck's stench was on it. Okay, sure. We'll see. And what happens? It becomes incredible, and it takes off. Not just like among comic fans, dude. Water cooler conversations are happening about Daredevil in offices all over the world.
Yeah,
like it's a show. It's not just like a comic book show. It's a show. It's one of those.
Yeah, especially because like when you think about something with Netflix, there are more and more people nowadays, and my wife and I are part of this number who are kind of cutting the cable, so to speak, and going strictly streaming.
Cord cutters.
Yeah, we have extremely basic cable, just like the local channels, and then we have Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime.
You can get by with that.
Yeah, and we're getting by fine with that. But the thing with that is, like, with those streaming services, they give you everything at once. So, and as we've discussed previously on the show, you consume it very rapidly.
Yes.
And then you're done. So you're constantly on the lookout for something new to watch. So not only do they have those of us who were familiar with the property and knew that this show was coming, waiting for the show, you've got these people out there who are casual fans, don't quite know about it, but they see new Netflix, and Netflix is putting out quality stuff, so they're going to give it a shot coming into it. And it just seemed like it elevated Netflix to I don't want to say legitimate, but it's for lack of between this and House of Cards.
I was going to say, they had House of Cards and that Orange is the New Black show. Like, they were making the push, and Daredevil was part of that push.
Yeah.
Like, it's, Netflix has content now. They have more content than they know what to do with right now.
So, yeah, they didn't give a date. They simply said coming soon. I'm going to guess probably 2018. Because...
Well,
of other stuff that
we have a lot. Yeah, there's more because that wasn't all they dropped on us.
No, there was the thing we expected the most, which was Luke Cage.
The Luke Cage trailer.
They dropped a Luke Cage trailer on us, and it looks awesome.
It's awesome. It looks very cool.
He's just Luke, and he's doing stuff, and it's great.
If you haven't watched Jessica Jones, folks, I think I've said before, even though it goes a little long for my taste, it's a great show. And one of the high points of that show was Luke Cage. I liked him a lot on that show. He's very easy to. They cast him well, and the way they wrote him and the way they portrayed him, very easy character to get behind. He wins you over, and now he's getting his own show, and it looks pretty cool. And then you get to see him rough up tough guys and gangsters and wrap a car door around somebody, literally.
We discussed last episode not last episode, 2 episodes ago, the difference between the street level hero and the global hero. Luke Cage is the very definition of a street level hero.
Well, it's like Daredevil. He's got a neighborhood.
Yeah.
He's got his immediate concern. He's a man on the street.
And in my limited experience with the character in the comics, his neighborhood is typically what he cares about the most.
Right, because he lives there with his family now.
He'll help out the Avengers on their big things every once in a while, but most of the time he's content to stay in his neighborhood.
When he is not a hero for hire, that is.
Ah, yes. A hero for hire with a partner who also had a trailer drop.
Netflix is just dropping it all on us, man.
Netflix is just oh, God, we got the Iron Fist trailer.
Yes, we did.
I think of all of these, with the exception of Daredevil, there wasn't a ton of these characters that I was reading as much.
See, I have read Iron Fist quite a bit. The spoilers, folks. The Ed Brubaker. Hey, there's that name again. Ed Brubaker, Matt
work.
Fraction run. They tagged up on it. That run was Incredible Iron Fist run. Incredible.
I've read a couple trades out of it, with the exception of the brief stint where Howard Chaykin did some art. Because Howard Chaykin does nothing for me.
He's a hit and miss guy.
I'm like almost instantly turned off when I see his art. Yeah, it was very good. But like when Netflix made the original announcements, when they said Iron Fist, that was one of the ones I was most excited about. And because this series has the potential to be very different from the Netflix series that we've seen so far, especially if it's an origin-based story.
Well, it's also the one that's just kind of taken the longest to come to fruition because they really weren't sure what to do with the tone and how crazy they were going to get, because if you guys are not familiar with the Iron Fist, his origin involves a mystical land where he goes and trains, and he fights a dragon to get his power, the power of the Iron Fist. It's a little out there, but compared to Daredevil, compared to Luke Cage, this is very outlandish, and Marvel they're treading a very fine line as to how much their audience can kind of take, because some of these concepts, comic fans and genre fans, we get into it, but to a casual viewer, it can be all in the presentation. If they see it as hokey, you're done. So they were walking a very fine line, but somehow I think they've built up enough benefit of the doubt, and now I think it also helps that Doctor Strange has had a trailer out now, and they're starting to kind of show a slightly weirder side to the Marvel Universe. Yeah. So audiences might be ready for the Iron Fist now.
I've said numerous times while I've worked at other places and talked to other people who are just coming into the comics through the films, Marvel essentially has three spheres. You've got your superhero sphere, which is, your Captain America, your Iron Man, your Spider-Man, things like that. You've got your cosmic sphere, which was opened up to the general public by Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure, right.
That's like Guardians of the Galaxy, Silver Surfer. You can argue a little bit of Fantastic Four.
Galactus, sure.
Galactus. And then you have your mystical sphere, which Doctor Strange, coming out this November, is going to open up the door to cinematically. And so I think with Doctor Strange out there, people will be more open and more inclined to the mystical aspects of it. And, I mean, we're 8 years into this now. This whole thing started in 2008.
Iron Man.
We're 8 years into this now. I think we're at the point with Marvel where they get the benefit of the doubt.
We're at the point in the relationship where, they kind of snuggle up to you and go, let's get weird, let's just get wild, let's get weird.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, we got mine.
So, what's the safe word?
Yeah, exactly. Casada.
Yeah. That's a bad safe word. Well, then again, that would put the kibosh on things pretty quickly. Anyway.
So, but yeah, I think, your concerns are valid in that we've had a couple series now that are grounded and more, for lack of a better term, realistic than what Iron Fist has the potential to be.
Yep, and for those who you're going to find out in watching Daredevil what might seem off the cuff or insignificant to you now. There seeds have been planted in Daredevil. So Madame Gao, for instance, who I don't know that we've really met outside of that one episode. No, did she even show up in the one episode?
She hasn't come back yet.
She has not come back yet.
Episode 2.
Okay, right. So in episode 2 of Daredevil, season 1, you saw Madame Gao. Later on, she will remark that she is from a very far place.
Yes, and also the emblem that is printed on the heroin packets.
All the breadcrumbs to Iron Fist. Let's just put it that way. So they have been kind of, teasing.
So yeah,
I would have liked. Now again, this is a minor nitpick in the trailer. It's a trailer, so I obviously
it's more of a teaser. They're each essentially 1 minute.
But
long.
they're doing what they did with Daredevil, which is kind of annoying. I want to see the costume.
We'll see the costume. Now, okay, here's a question.
Because it's going to be tricky to pull off.
What Iron Fist costume do you want? Because the original design of the character...
We can't do the disco collar.
It's huge, popped, yellow collar. You can pull that off with Doctor Strange.
Sure.
He's got
the cape anyway. He's got a cape anyway.
A huge cape. That'll work.
For Iron Fist... take your pick, green or white. I prefer green. Just green suit. That's all.
Yeah,
with the yellow mask, and I'm happy.
The yellow bandana mask.
Sure, he doesn't have to have the exposed chest to show the tattoo off. It could just the emblem can just be on the suit.
Shirt.
That's enough for me. That's all I need.
Do you want him to tape up his hands? Because we talked about this last episode, taping of the hands.
It depends. Does he have prep time? Or is he, just casually jumping out of his boardroom meetings with his hands freshly taped?
I think
that's not the way that works.
I think the best bet is just the standard green shirt with the dragon emblem on it.
Sure.
I don't want to see the character in body armor.
I don't not
think
work
fits,
for him.
It doesn't fit. It also doesn't fit the character.
But then again, I would have said the same for Daredevil until the show made me accept it.
Yeah, they bring you on a journey with the character that, the body armorish look of the suit we see at the end of the first season and throughout the second season. First off, they explain it.
Right.
It makes sense.
Makes sense.
And you see, obviously we've seen through the first couple episodes, Matt, great fighter, not a perfect fighter.
No one's perfect. Nobody. In real life, if you fight, even if you're a great fighter, you're going to take a couple licks, dude. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. So that would have been enough for me.
Yes.
That, you're telling me there's season 3 of Daredevil. You're giving me a Luke Cage trailer. You're surprising me with an Iron Fist trailer. Iron Fist, they said, coming 2017?
I think so.
Yes, and Luke Cage is this September.
September. It's like 2 months away.
September 30th.
Yes. Or maybe even earlier, possibly. But, yeah,
Viewing
September.
Party at my place.
Bring on Luke Cage.
Depending on if the viewers want, we may have a listener viewing party.
Listen to you, which you're hosting.
With my scheming and my planning. My wife just heard that. She's like, no.
We don't want to do this.
No, we have a baby now. Make your peace, honey. It could possibly happen.
The baby will learn.
I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for putting up with my shenanigans. So, yeah, all that would have been enough. I would have been completely satisfied by that. But Netflix went, no. We've got one more for you.
There's more.
They dropped a Defenders teaser.
It's a very, very much a teaser.
It's so much a teaser. But it's still much earlier than expected.
Sure.
Now, for those of you who are wondering, as we've discussed before, Netflix's plan is to bring all these characters into a series called The Defenders. So kind of their Avengerizing of their Netflix series.
Now, the irony is, none of the characters that they're doing are actual Defenders in the comics.
No.
So they're appropriating the name a touch, but that's okay. We're going to allow it because it's it's fine.
The original roster of the Defenders, I believe, was the Incredible Hulk, Silver Surfer.
It's a very fluid membership, but it's
Doctor Strange.
Yes. Yep.
And I want to say Drax the Destroyer.
Possibly. He might have been around I think the Submariner might have been in there a couple times.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Human Torch might have been involved a few times.
It's been a kind of rotating roster.
But it has never been Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. That has not been a thing.
So there's no footage shown in this teaser.
No, it's just logos.
It's basically just like logos and fonts that you recognize from shows, and a nice little remix of Nirvana's "Come As You Are."
Yeah, Marvel has interesting choices in some of their trailers for music. I remember when the Avengers trailer came out, the original Avengers movie. They set it to a Nine Inch Nails song. We're in this together. I thought that was like, oh, Marvel, you can get your finger on the pulse of the 90s kids a little bit, especially the 90s kids who were into hard rock and quote-unquote alternative music.
And, of course, when you're talking about Marvel music, you can't not mention the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack.
Well, there's that as well.
Just one of the great all-time soundtracks. But
that's like mixtape 5, though. Right now they're only on mixtape 2.
Exactly.
Not to be shortchanged, though. We got that Defenders reveal. Am I wrong? Did they officially announce the final? There's another. They weren't done.
I was about to mention there was a font in there.
Well, that, and I think
obviously you recognize they used Daredevil's D's.
Yes.
They used a font from Luke Cage. They used a font from Iron Fist.
For each letter of the Defenders,
Jessica Jones.
Right. The N was very suspicious.
The N was a little maybe from a word punish.
It's funny you should mention that because I believe Joe Bernthal was at Comic-Con, and yeah, the Punisher series is happening.
Oh, wow.
Now, there's no footage. They didn't announce any dates or anything, but yeah, Punisher series is happening. And even Bernthal himself said after the show came out, and I think he might have reiterated at Comic-Con, the version of the Punisher, the guy you saw in season 2 of Daredevil, which Carl and I will get to eventually, that guy was not the Punisher. That was Frank Castle. That was the remnants of Frank Castle. What you will see in the Punisher show is going to be the Punisher. That's what I want to see. Mm-hmm. That's the character I want to see on screen. As much as I enjoyed Joe Bernthal's portrayal of Frank Castle in season 2 of Daredevil, and it is great, it is proto Punisher. It was not the fully formed, fully realized, unrepentant force of nature that I want to see on screen, but it is going to be a big, big challenge for that creative team to present that in a way that makes him sympathetic.
Yeah, the Punisher is tricky.
Difficult.
The Punisher is tricky because they always try to overdevelop the character.
They try to humanize him.
Yeah.
Throw him a love interest, or don't do that. You can't,
he's just, like you said, an unrelenting force of nature.
That's it. And that doesn't make for a, arc, I guess. Yeah. So it does take away some of the dramatic tension of the character, but that's why you got to write around him, and you write it such that he's one thing, but you're putting that one thing up against worse things.
Yes.
And you want to see the worst things suffer.
Yeah.
So
But jumping back really quick to the Defenders teaser.
You can tell I like the Punisher.
You might have an affection for Frank. Just to kind of wrap that up, we didn't get any footage. We did get a line of dialogue, and we got a line of dialogue from Stick.
Oh yeah.
I love Stick.
Well, again, speaking of great casting, man.
Oh God, that was the best cast of this series.
Yeah, totally unexpected. Why is his name escaping me? Oh Lord. Guy from Silence of the Lambs, man.
I know. Carradine.
No, not David. No, he's dead, sir.
No, brother. Yeah, we're both scrambling now to look at. But the line of dialogue was just kind of spot on, where Stick was saying, "You four can't even save yourselves. How are you going to save the city?"
Yeah, I mean, it fits with the themes of the shows, because clearly Matt has problems, and clearly Jessica Jones has problems. I would imagine Luke Cage is not going to be presented as any kind of saint either. So,
although I wouldn't mind if he was, just to kind of balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, everyone can't be self-loathing and terrible. Scott Glenn, we're stupid.
Mr. Glenn, we apologize.
Yes, he
listens. You ever listen to this?
Yes.
We'd love to have you on the show.
Absolutely. So, in any case, yeah, he's just the right amount of grizzled and pissed off, and it's great.
Exactly. That's what Netflix had for us at Comic-Con. Holy crap.
A lot of content. Marvel TV is dropping the hammer, man. Question for you regarding Marvel TV.
Yes, sir.
Because it seems that this is going to be a thing. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the redheaded stepchild of Marvel TV at this point, even though it was the first TV show out of the gate. Yeah. It's also the most closely tied in with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Debatable, arguably, because these divisions are very nebulous right now with the way things are. We thought things were much tighter than they may or may not be. I heard they're bringing in Ghost Rider. But not just any Ghost Rider. Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. Now, I read the Robbie Reyes series, and I enjoyed it a lot. Johnny Blaze showed up in it. It was good.
True.
Yeah.
Who's my second favorite Marvel character?
Ghost Rider? Dan Ketch, though, technically.
You know, if I'm 100% honest, I think Matt's probably taken over that slot. But for the longest time, yes, it has been Ghost Rider. Mm-hmm. I love Ghost Rider. I've always liked the Giant Blaze story. My personal Ghost Rider, the series that found me when I was a kid, was the 90s Ghost Rider, which focused around Dan Ketch.
Yep.
And obviously, as we know, Ghost Rider's been treated probably the worst.
Well,
as far as cinema goes.
He got caged. He got Nick Caged.
Oh, he got so caged. so caged. Like, at least in the first movie, he looked cool. The bike looked right. The effects were okay on his appearance.
I liked the way he looked in the second movie, though, with the burned up jacket and stuff.
No.
I kind of liked it. All right.
But yeah, I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Especially the past 2 seasons have really, and believe me, I'm aware that I am in the minority on this. The past 2 seasons, they have really established themselves as their own thing, and yes, it does exist within the cinematic universe, but I'll be the first one to admit, it had a really slow start.
Yes.
And business picked up when it tied in with Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yep.
And then business kind of dropped off again. But the past, mid last season, this entire mid-season 2, and this entire past season, I think the show's been really good, and I enjoy it. But Ghost Rider doesn't, even that version of Ghost Rider, which I was not crazy about personally. Not that it was bad, it wasn't my thing. It doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. I was all excited, the rumors are going around that Ghost Rider was going to get his own Netflix series. And I said to him, if you're going to do it, you do it with Dan Ketch, and then you bring in Johnny Blaze.
You call Nick Cage up and you try and get him.
No, you do not. Norman Reedus said he wanted to play Johnny Blaze. I was like, okay,
sure,
do that.
Sure. No, he's too busy making Hideo Kojima games, so he can't do it now.
There's nothing wrong with that either. Shush.
Hot take alert. Anyway, no, I'll leave it there.
I'm tepid.
Yeah, I feel
tepid.
You. I'm not. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. hasn't built up the cachet.
Did that version of Ghost Rider, the one you're talking about, did he have a flaming chain?
Yes.
Crap.
Yep.
Okay.
He was Ghost Rider. Not the Ghost Rider, but a Ghost Rider.
All right.
Yeah. He's good. It was a good series. I like it.
Okay.
Kind of nutty.
We're going to close the case files.
All right. There'll be more next week because Comic-Con has just begun.
Comic-Con is just kicking off, so we're definitely going to have more for you next week.
Yes.
Let's get into the episode.
Okay.
Grab my trusty notes.
Me too. Sound of notes.
Episode 4, In the Blood.
Yep.
A lot of blood this episode.
A lot of blood. Remember what we said, how there were these benchmarks of violence in this show, little lines of demarcation that
were they kind of ratcheted up.
Yeah, this was the episode where
they hit the apex.
Yeah, they. Oh boy.
So I don't think they ever really surpassed.
I don't know that you could.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The end of this episode. We'll get you there. But holy gosh.
Okay, so this episode opens up with a flashback. Flash.
Oh, you.
Back to the past.
Man, they love flashbacks.
They do love their flashbacks. This flashback centers around the Russian mob head brothers.
Yes. Or as I call them, what's his name? The kid who played Iceman in the X-Men movies. Shawn Ashmore?
Yes.
Okay, so the brothers, not Shawn Ashmore and not Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
See?
You're commenting on physical appearance?
Yes.
And I see it.
Yes. Can we get Willem Dafoe?
No.
Can we get someone who looks like Willem Dafoe?
And is considerably shorter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we get Shawn Ashmore? No.
Probably.
Actually, yeah.
I don't have his number. I don't want to go through the effort of finding it.
What's the last thing he did? That Kevin Bacon TV show or whatever? I don't know.
Well, no, he's got a twin brother.
Okay.
So,
like you do?
Yeah. No, because I think his twin brother was the one that was on that show and the one that was Jimmy Olsen on Smallville.
The more you know. I did not know that.
Okay, so we have a flashback of the Russian mob leaders in a Russian gulag.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, Russian for prison.
Yeah. Bad news. Bad place to be.
Russian prison's not one you want to be in.
No.
We open up with one being kind of dragged down the hall and being thrown back into the cell with his brothers, and they discuss how they plan to escape.
Now, some notes on this, just real quick. Number one, capital letters, rib shiv.
Yes, apparently rib bones make very good shivs.
Yeah, that's not completely gross or anything. So already we're off to a fantastic start with the violence and gore factor of this program.
One of their comrades was in the cell with them. He died. And
he died.
They never bothered to clear out the body.
Yeah,
And the rats kind of ate into him.
And then they break a rib off to make a shiv out of.
They made a wish.
That's scary. So number one, capital letters, rib shiv. Number two, these guys remark that, in Russia, are we going back to Moscow? The guy says, no, it's a crap hole, blah, blah, blah.
City of the past.
Yeah. We're going to go to America and succeed.
America!
Why is it always America? Why is it always America, and why is it always New York? Dear foreigners, it's a big world. If you have ambition like that, you could probably set up shop somewhere else and do very well for yourself with very little resistance.
Listen, man.
Particularly in the Marvel Universe.
All political joking aside, stuff like that, it's still the land of opportunity.
I guess.
And as far as New York goes, it's the old saying, man, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
The state with the most red tape.
I know.
Go to Idaho or something and do something.
You know what? It's probably easier to stay hidden in New York.
Because
there's so much going on.
I suppose, but my gosh, man.
So yeah.
Criminals need I'm telling you, it's a big world. World is big. You can do a lot of stuff.
I don't understand why criminals in the comic book world set up shop in New York.
Okay.
Because if you just look up for like 10 seconds,
you'll see somebody.
You're bound to see either like Iron Man flying over, Spider-Man swinging over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't get why they do that. That was actually in the Superior Spider-Man run. The current bearer of the Nova mantle decided, he's going to fight crime. He goes to New York, and Spidey Ock at the time is like, "What are you doing here? Wait, you know what? Here, stand still for a second. Hold on. 1, 2, 3." And sure enough, like Iron Man goes flying over. As far as look, Iron Man going out to fight a crime. Why are you here? So yeah.
Yep.
But back to the episode. I digress. Back to the episode. So we flash forward to modern time, and Matt is working his night job.
He is. He throws a gentleman out of a window onto a car. Now, again, Matt has this whole no killing guys rule, but man, that fall would kill somebody. I'm just putting that out there.
I mean, we did see the guy, kind of move.
Yeah,
twitch.
yeah.
It was only 3 stories.
That's all. That's a hell of a fall, man.
But yeah, Matt is continuing to pester the Russians.
Big time. But he's, again, not without taking his own lumps, which leads him back to Claire.
Yes, Matt shows up where Claire is currently hiding out.
At her friend's house with the cats. And Claire, I can relate. I, too, am allergic to cats.
So am I.
Yeah. And
it's not like immediate. It takes a little while to kick in.
Yeah, I can't. Within 20 minutes, yeah. I sneeze uncontrollably. My sinuses go nuts. Yeah, no thanks. Me and cats we're not buddies. Cats love me though, which is
same thing with me. They always. I'm like, no, I don't. No, go away. So we have Claire patching up Matt again, and things are getting a little flirty.
I have that too, man. Yeah,
the two.
Matt, dude, look. Again, it's been said before. I will say it again, dear listeners. Matt gets around like a record, baby. Right round.
You know what? If I had to make a list of songs I ever thought I'd hear you quote, that would not come close to the list.
I do love the 80s.
All right.
But Matt.
Yeah, Matt's flirting. Claire's kind of flirting back a little bit.
Ladies, if you ever get the chance to roll with old Matt, insist that he wraps that up, because Trust me.
It's been places?
It's been places.
Yeah. Yeah. Typhoid Mary.
Typhoid Mary. The name tells you everything you need to know, really.
So, yeah. Things are getting a little flirty. It's kind of a quick scene. Matt gives Claire a phone to be able to contact him, or he
booty
can
call phone.
contact her. It's a booty call phone.
That phone rings. It's time.
Need some patching.
Uh-huh.
Sort of.
Yep.
So, and
he does ask her if she's ever heard the name Wilson Fisk, though, and no,
yeah.
she hasn't.
And
in this day and age, I did have to remark, and hey, maybe it's possible, but Matt's done some homework on the name Wilson Fisk on the internet and stuff. No mention anywhere of it. Nowhere, really, nowhere. School records, degrees, business holdings. Anything on the internet? Nothing?
My note on that is simply Fisk is a ghost.
I guess.
It's difficult, probably not impossible.
I work on the internet, sir. It's good luck staying off.
He might have pulled it. Someone with his power and influence could very easily pull Kaiser Soze.
All right.
He's gone.
Okay.
So, okay, yeah.
We'll allow it.
Yeah, we established that, Matt, in his, efforts, has not been able to track down anything on the name Wilson Fisk. Fisk is more or less does not exist by any public definable standards. So that scene wraps up pretty neatly. Flash forward to the cab company location where Wesley comes to discuss business or lack or lightened thereof with the Russian brothers.
I did make a note here. Is this where they remarked that he is the devil? No, sorry.
No, that's later on in the hospital.
I might have blacked out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, business dealings are not going as Mr. Fisk would like, so Wesley gives him the ultimatum, more or less. Well, no. Correction. He doesn't give them orders. He makes him an offer.
Like, would you like us to handle this for you?
Yes, and the Russians are very, very prideful, and one of them anyway, the more hard-edged brother who cannot be reasoned with. He wants nothing to do with that because he doesn't want to bow down to Wilson Fisk. And, tensions are ratcheting up among the Russians, and Matt's putting the pressure on.
We have here again another funny little reference to the Avengers. Wesley says, the guy, have you tried ducking? Because the one brother's pretty beat up from his encounter with Matt. It's like, it would be understandable if he was wearing a suit of armor or had a magical hammer, but he's just a guy.
Get used to those little casual drops, because that's probably all we're going to get.
Yeah. Well, for now, you know what? If this current time we're living in has taught me anything, we can't really say never anymore.
Can never say never.
Wesley offers help to the Russians to eliminate the Man in Black, as they're simply calling him.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians, again, as you mentioned, very prideful, do not want to accept the help, but after some discussions back and forth, they remember that they have their guy that they sent after Matt in episode 2.
He's in the hospital.
He's in a coma. So they're going to say, you know what, he's slept long enough.
Yeah.
I have an interesting note on that.
Me too, actually. Which I bet it's the same note. We'll find out.
But the Russians are showing, like you said, the one brother is showing he's not afraid of Fisk and will say his name to Wesley.
Right.
Wesley continues to protest. We don't say his name.
Right.
So after a scene, we find Karen and Ben Urich.
Now, Karen is trying to track down assets from her former employer, Union Allied. Ben being the intrepid reporter, he is basically talking her out of it in a way, saying this is how people get killed. He's giving her a friendly heads up, to be honest.
Yeah, he's giving her examples from his own past, because she said that she has read all his work. He's like, do you remember the guy from this story?
Right.
Well, he's dead. Do you remember the guy from this story? Well, he was forced to move out when, there were pamphlets put up all over his school saying he was a pedophile.
Right. So, she's poking the bee's nest, and she is liable to get stung.
Yeah. So. And then we get our first inkling, I believe, into Karen's past.
Little bit.
That there's not... She might not be the sweet and innocent person we've been led to believe to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So they just touch on that ever so briefly and then just leave it there. And again, you and I know where the characters come from, where she will most likely end up. Again, we're not going to spoil it for you.
We're see.
We're going to wait till the series gets there.
But they are planting the seeds that she has some skeletons in the closet. So
yes. And then Ben pretty much says that he's not going to help her. And then that scene pretty much ends that way. Then we find ourselves at the hospital. And apparently, folks, Russians can cure comas.
Well, as I remarked here, because it's been a theme on this very podcast past couple episodes.
I got stabbed 3 times.
I have here the Russians have seen Pulp. Unlike Badland Jack, the Russians have seen Pulp Fiction.
No, you don't got stabbed 3 times.
No, you got to stab her 3 times. You got to stab her in the heart. Felt pen, a magic marker. Yes, I believe that they give him an injection of adrenaline to his heart to wake him up out of the coma. Now, if you're thinking, well, why the hell didn't the doctors just do that to wake him up? I'm going to assume this guy does not survive this. I don't think so anyway.
No, he doesn't.
Okay,
no.
So that's why, folks. That's why when you go, if you're ever in a coma, the doctors are like, shoot him up with adrenaline. He'll be fine.
Give him
No.
a shot to the heart.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This is kind of a one-time deal. But when the guy does kind of snap out of it and come to, unfortunately, he doesn't wake up and say something in a panic, and they don't go back to Marcellus Wallace's apartment and, discuss the cover story for the evening. But he does remark, the devil.
Yeah, they asked who did this.
Right.
And this is the first time we have Matt referred to as something other than the Man in Black, which is the devil.
Right. Now he is the devil, which will later become the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, which will later become Daredevil.
Yes.
As we,
But we're going to get there.
Yes.
It's going to be a wonderful journey. All right, so the Russian assassin, before he kicks the bucket, essentially gives Claire up.
Right. Or the location.
Yeah, I found her here. And so the Russians go to her old apartment.
Her actual apartment.
Yeah,
She's staying at a friend's house with cats. Matt told her to get out of her own place. The Russians bust into her place, but her nosy teen neighbor gets caught.
Yeah.
Walking by, basically.
Not even walking by. He's just standing there looking at him.
Yeah, dude, word of advice. If that happens, just keep going.
If you see me walking by...
Yeah, just keep on.
Teardrops in my eye. I do a lot of singing on this podcast.
That's okay.
And I'm not a singer.
That's all right.
All right. Look away.
In the shower or the car, everyone's a singer, man.
Away. Okay, so the Russians... What's the kid's name?
I don't know.
It's going to bother me now.
I'm not bothered at all. He's not that important.
So... Now, we don't see the actual interrogation because we come to Fisk. Wilson Fisk on a mission.
Well, I like the way they kind of set this up. He's in the car with Wesley. They're chatting about business. And then Wilson kind of says, I'm going in. He gets out of the car. Wesley's going to get out and give him backup or whatever. You think he's going to go rough up. And then Wilson says, no, I have to handle this alone.
Yeah. So now, since this is the first full appearance of Wilson Fisk, as our listeners come to expect, we've got some background on the character prior to appearing in this show, some comic book background.
Sure.
Wilson Fisk, as he is known in the comics, the Kingpin, first appears in The Amazing Spider-Man number 50. He was created by two faces of the Spider-Man around Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. And a little bit of trivia here, his physical appearance was based on that of Sidney Greenstreet. Sidney Greenstreet is an actor from Hollywood's classic era. He did a lot of movies with Humphrey Bogart. He's in Casablanca. He's in The Maltese Falcon. And when you see him, you instantly go, okay, yeah, that could quite easily be the Kingpin. As we've commented before, this is not the character's first live-action appearance. He was also the main villain, obviously, in the Daredevil movie. But that also was not the character's first live-action appearance. Drew, a little bit of trivia for you.
Uh-oh.
What was Wilson Fisk's first live-action appearance And what was the actor that played him?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna. Oh wow.
Come on, you're a bigger
Holy
Daredevil
cow.
fan than I am. Even I knew this.
If I had to guess, it would be the Trial of the Incredible Hulk movie with Bill Bixby.
Correct.
Which had also a black suited Daredevil in it.
Yes.
A terrible one, mind you. I do not know who played him.
We're totally going to review that for this.
No, why would we do? Why would we do that?
Because it's Daredevil.
It's not good, Daredevil.
It's still Daredevil.
I'm not going to read the Andy Diggle run for this friggin' show.
Well, he's got standards. Who was the actor who played him?
I don't know.
That would be Mr. John Rhys Davies.
Oh, that's right, he did. Sala himself.
Sala, Gimli, if you will.
What's a Gimli?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah, I'm good here.
So, yeah.
Sliders.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Deep cut.
That's
sir.
right.
Deep cut.
I know, yeah, you know. Wasn't he on, oh, no, I'm trying to think. Was he on Farscape? I don't think he was, though.
I never watched, so I don't know.
It's a pretty cool show.
Okay, take your word for it.
Underrated. Anyway, wow. John Rhys Davies played the Kingpin. Was he bald?
No.
No.
He was
Well,
his typical John Rhys Davies.
So much like everyone else in those Incredible Hulk movies from back in the day, nobody looked like anybody that you would recognize from the comics.
Hey, the Hulk looked like the Hulk.
Kinda.
You know, the Hulk of the time.
Sure.
Before he was depicted as, 12 feet tall. And
Kinda.
yeah. They had Thor in one of them. He looked like a Thor.
Kinda.
Okay,
Kinda.
so Wilson...
He at least had a helmet.
Yes, and a hammer.
Chris Hemsworth can't be bothered with the helmet, apparently.
Yeah, that's one thing that was kind of annoys me.
In any event.
So Wilson has returned to the art gallery.
Yes. And as I have here, sup, Vanessa?
He doesn't quite put it that way, but we learn in his exchange with Vanessa that he did buy the Rabbit Snowstorm painting.
He did buy the painting, and oh my gosh. Lucas is having a field day in here. And Lucas, much like the rabbit in the snow here, he's also all white.
Okay, so as Drew attends to that, Wilson has returned to the art gallery to ask Vanessa out on a date.
He doesn't do this very often.
He does not. And what D'Onofrio's performance is so incredible throughout this entire series. Not so much, I mean, the whole
Some
thing.
people don't like it.
I don't care.
Some people have a problem with the Kingpin's portrayal. They think they made him out to be kind of like a man-child, a big man baby.
You know what? I think that was an important aspect of it because, as we mentioned earlier, as much as this season is an origin for Matt and Daredevil, it's just as much an origin for Wilson Fisk as well, becoming the Kingpin.
Yeah,
I
actually.
wouldn't want him to be the character that he ultimately ends up being the whole time because that kind of makes for a boring character.
Sure. I totally agree.
Yeah, I enjoy.
I'm with you.
No, you're just relaying the message. But yeah, Wilson is awkward. He doesn't ask ladies out very often.
No.
But there is a fantastic line that he uses here. When he asks her out, she initially says no. And then he's like, perhaps another time, begins to walk away, respects her decision. And she's just like, that's it? Are you not going to try it? You're not going to offer to buy every painting in the place so I can close up early? And he turns around, walks back ever so gently, just stands to her side and simply says, a woman, I think I've got it written down here, a woman that can be bought isn't worth having. I was like, dang, Wilson, that's a good line.
Playing all the angles.
I'll go out with you, Wilson.
I don't think he's going that way.
And the scene pretty much ends with that.
Yeah. Now, Matt, Claire's phone calls Matt.
Yeah, Matt
because
and Foggy
the Russians have taken Claire.
Yes, Matt and Foggy are talking about the Foggy the Butcher story, which is a comedic little anecdote. Matt's phone rings, and he hears the Russians taking Claire.
And now Foggy also does remark that it is the booty call phone.
Yes, Foggy knows the
That's
score.
not Matt's phone. That's a different phone. So, yeah, Foggy knows what's going on. Foggy's probably played Wingman many a time.
Yeah.
In any case.
Claire is screaming. There's clearly something going on in the apartment. Matt
He
quickly converts from...
Well, he also shoves Foggy in a cab and gets him on his way.
Yeah.
And then Matt proceeds to parkour his way to the rescue, as I have here.
Yeah, doesn't
Parkour! Wah!
Look at me running and flipping on stuff.
Yep, that's kind of what he does.
So Matt gets to the apartment, finds that Claire is gone. He sticks his head out the window to kind of track her down with his heightened hearing. Does so, but loses them because they put her in the trunk of the cab, drive away. He goes back to her actual apartment, her original apartment, to find the boy again. He's been a little roughed up, as we can tell by the Russians, and find out if he knew who took them. He just knows that they're Russians. And
the cab company.
The cab company.
So Matt goes to the cab company headquarters, but first... we slow down. We slow down a hair. So Karen doing her Karen things with the Union Allied. She goes to a batch auction, a big office supply auction, and she is going to try and purchase or at least investigate who is in the market for Union Allied's stuff. Now, as she is, apparently she's an artist. I didn't know this. She's drawing pictures of the people bidding on Union Allied's stuff. Okay, sure.
You would think maybe it would just be easier to copy down the number on their paddle and just kind of find out who it was.
Maybe, but alas, we're going to draw pictures. But then Ben comes in, Ben to the rescue, and says, "You're stupid. You're being obvious.
You're doing this wrong."
Yes, and he points out people that are also not bidding and watching, and reminding her that she is likely being watched as well.
Yeah,
watch where you step. Now, so Wilson is on a date with Vanessa.
Santino, that's the kid's name. I wrote it down here.
Okay.
Shut up, it was bothering me.
Santino Morella. Anyway, wrestling fans will get that. Wilson's on the date with Vanessa.
Yep.
Okay.
It's going well.
It's going well. Here's the thing. I have a little casual note because, I go out every once in a while. I'm not a big wine guy, but so this is a thing with wine. They show you the bottle. They go to the table.
Okay.
They show it to you. They pop the top on it. They pop the cork on it. They pour it. They give it to you, and then you taste it. And my note here is, honestly, they've already showed it to you. They've opened the bottle, which, in my opinion, once that cork is popped, you have bought the bottle, and then they look at you for approval, and then Wilson has to go, yes, that's so. This is the procedure with wine. Someone at a restaurant goes and then chooses a bottle. They pop the cork on the bottle. They show you the bottle. They pour it for you. You drink it, and then you have to say yes or no. My question is: has anyone ever said no? After all that, has anyone gone like, no, I don't want this.
Take it away.
Take it away, and I'm not paying for it.
They just kind of take the bottle and spit what they drink back at the bottle.
Listeners, if that's ever happened, if you've ever done this,
let us know.
Let us know via email, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm just curious. It's one of these little things, these social cues that we have in society. And has anyone ever just been like, no, this is unacceptable.
I don't want it.
Or that. You know what? No.
I think it's very possible. Again, just being devil's advocate here.
Devil's advocate.
If you look at the back of the restaurant, there's wine bottles all over the wall.
Oh yeah.
It's very possibly just like a super upscale place where they just serve it by the glass, and due to the upscaleness of the bottle of wine, they may just have open ones where they just pour by the glass. I don't know. I am not a connoisseur of wine.
Just curious. This whole procedure seems very drawn out, and it seems like I don't know, unnecessary.
And it ultimately just goes to establish that, Wilson doesn't know about wine. It's actually Wesley.
He admits that. He doesn't know.
It's Wesley who recommended the wine. And we see actually that, if I remember, later on in the series, he does it again.
I also have a note here that here Wilson lays out kind of his...
coda?
His coda, in a way. And basically, this is where things are kind of interesting. Fisk, his whole mission is to make the city better.
Yeah.
That's Matt's mission too.
Yeah.
They are effectively going about the same goal in two drastically different ways.
Yeah. I think that kind of the way they've portrayed Fisk up to this point, you almost think that if he had the means that Matt does, he might go about it the way Matt's going about it. but he doesn't have that as disposal, so he's going about it. I think he sees crime ultimately as a means to an end.
Yes. No, very much.
Yeah. So at least at this point in the character's development, crime is simply a tool. He probably doesn't even think of it as crime. He just thinks of it as business.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah.
But Claire is in the parking garage, and they're laying into her.
The Russians don't play around.
No, they don't. They absolutely do not.
They're trying to find out who Matt is.
Yes. Now, she doesn't even know his name.
Yeah.
His real name.
At this point, he hasn't told her. She's just calling him Mike.
Right. Which, by the way, the whole Mike thing, for those who don't know, for a little while in the comic books, back in the 70s, there was a silly gag going on that Matt would play with Karen and Foggy, where he would pretend to be Mike Murdock, Matt's twin brother. Why? I don't know.
Because it's the late 60s, early 70s, and stuff like that worked in comics?
Sure.
Okay.
So, Mike.
Works for me.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Mike Murdock.
Yeah. So, they're about to, kind of up the ante of the interrogation, if you will. And then the lights turn out, and the lights turn out, and some noises are heard, and then the best part of this whole scene happens. Claire starts laughing. Because she knows what these guys are about to encounter.
Matt's going to dissect them. And he does.
Yep. Very stealthily.
Yes.
There's no elaborate fight scene here in this one, folks. It's just very, off-screen takes down, noises, screams, tapping of bars against walls to create fear.
Pretty savage.
Matt's doing what he's doing.
But as savage as Matt is, Claire cracks a dude in the face with a baseball bat as well.
The last guy who was going to crack her in the face, she cracks him in the face after Matt makes it so he can't ever hold anything in that hand again.
Savage.
So, Matt saves Claire. And then we go back to Ben and Karen in the diner again.
And basically, Pete tells her that he is going to do the piece. And that she...
she's got to sign the NDA.
Sign the non-disclosure agreement, take their money or whatever. But, she doesn't have to be the source of information. No one has to know that she's the source of information. Ben's going to write his piece anyway. And he's being the intrepid reporter that we know he is.
I've noticed in this show, especially in this first season, and, now that I think of it very much in the second season, show's about forming alliances.
Yeah, totally.
We have an alliance between Matt and Claire, an understanding. We've got an alliance between the crime families, strained as it is. We have I guess you could call it an alliance between Vanessa and Wilson. Mm-hmm. And then we've got our alliance here with Claire and Ben.
Karen and Ben. It's all, as much as it's about alliance, it's also about betrayals of trust as well.
Yes.
As we'll see later on. I have a note here. Ben is clever. Now we're back on the date, and is this after? This is after the date.
No, they're still at the restaurant.
They're on the date. Vanessa says that it's good to try new things.
Yes,
I think this is her first fat guy. She wasn't sure.
Yeah,
she's rolling with it though.
Yeah, this is probably as good as time as any to mention. If you've ever seen the character of the Kingpin in the comics, it's not really possible.
No, he's usually drawn like a square with a head.
Yeah, he is enormous in the comics, and they say it's all muscle.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like all muscle. Anybody who's got that much muscle does not have that many chins. I speak as being one who bears more than one chin.
To be fair, he could be a power lifter.
It's very possible. But it seemed like that wasn't something that was necessarily required or emphasized in D'Onofrio's performance.
No, size was important, though. He does carry a large presence.
Imposing.
Yes, and
he is very imposing. He's not by any means ripped, muscular thing.
Doesn't matter. He's large and imposing.
Yeah, he does appear to have weight on him, but obviously not in the way it's depicted in the comics.
It's the same, and to be fair to Michael Clark Duncan, who portrayed the Kingpin in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, while everyone was up in arms over him being black, which I thought was ridiculous. Stupid. Because it doesn't matter, because as soon as I saw him in the role, dude,
you're like, okay,
that's it. He's a giant, imposing man. That's exactly what the Kingpin is.
And that voice.
Yes, exactly.
That bellowing voice.
Rest in peace, Michael Clark Duncan.
We miss you.
I know. He was great.
So they're getting dessert, and one of the Russian brothers makes a poor judgment call.
He busts in on the date.
Yeah.
No.
And
you don't want to do that.
Fisk remains completely calm and collected. Does not react there. He remains calm and collected there. And
you can tell that you can tell though he's pissed.
Yeah. And he escorts Vanessa out and says, Wesley will deal with you and we'll talk later or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's essentially the end of the date.
Yeah. Now, Matt's having some doubts about the effects of his his vigilantism.
Go back to Matt and Claire, and a little reversal of roles here. Matt is patching Claire up.
He's patching her up for a change, and he does reveal his actual name this time.
Yep.
He says, "My name is Matt," but he also is wondering if am I doing the right thing? Look what happened to you.
Yeah.
And Claire, flip side, says, think about the boy you saved and the people that you've saved that I have seen in the hospital. Like, you are doing good things.
Yeah. And again, we touch
she believes
on
in him.
The concept of fear.
Right.
She says, feel my heart. What do you feel? It's like you're afraid. And she's like, yeah, I'm afraid now, but a lot of people are less afraid than when you started.
Sure.
So
here we go. Now, okay, so
here we go. Folks.
Wilson goes back to Vanessa at her front door.
Yep.
And am I going to see you again? She seems to be not so sure. Now, my read here though is this. I think she
could tell he's shady.
She's hot and bothered though.
Yeah. There's an attraction there, and it's.
Now, here's the other thing I wonder, though, because as we find out later on, spoiler alert, sort of a little bit, and then if you read the comics, is she just playing him? Is she she knows now that he's got it for her. So is she just going to stroke the coals a little bit and play hard to get, just a little, to just wrap him around her finger just a little bit? Just a little bit. That'll come into play later. Trust me.
All right.
Trust me.
I'm trusting you because it doesn't come into play in this season.
Vanessa's not the innocent flower.
All right. That'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
Let's just cut. All right.
Yeah, this is one of our longer episodes.
Sorry, folks. Fisk shows up out of freaking nowhere.
Yeah,
and drags a Russian out of the truck.
Yeah, it's so pleasant up until that point. They're just talking in the truck.
Wesley and
the Russian, and Wesley's phone rings, and Wesley's like, "Oh, yes, passenger side." Okay.
Yep.
And I had a note on Fisk as a quiet volcano.
Yeah.
And here the volcano erupts.
Oh, and how? My God. Okay, so again with the high bar of violence, right? So Fisk is fighting this guy. Quick plot point. Actually, the gentleman produces a knife, takes a swipe at Fisk, cuts his suit coat, and we see that it is lined with Kevlar. Obviously, that is not something you get off the rack. Exactly. So that's going to come into play later, folks.
And we also learned in the scene that Fisk can fight.
Yes, he can.
He can take care of himself. He's not just a figurehead of power.
Oh, no. Big, remember we said he's big and imposing?
Yes.
He's big, imposing, and he'll whip your ass, which, by the way, he does. So, as he is proceeding to beat the crap out of this guy, the high mark of violence, things escalate. So, he throws the guy down onto, against the car.
Yep.
Opens the back door of the car.
Yep.
Puts his face facing away from the vehicle.
Yep.
Slams the car door on the guy's face. Now, automatically, I'm thinking,
that's fight right there.
That's brutal. Then he's okay.
One good turn.
He proceeds to slam the car door on the guy's head repeatedly. Now that's bad enough. What Daredevil's really good at is showing you, though, just the scale and scope of things. So in the framing of the shot, you get underneath the car, and as he's slamming the car door on this gentleman's head, we are getting first, blood. Then, oh God, that's a thick. Is that his? That's probably some brains coming out the back of the gentleman's skull. Then finally slams the door shut, and the guy's you realize
he's still there. He's got no more head.
No. Whoa.
Yeah. The volcano has erupted, and we see who Fisk really is.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this episode, up until this point, they made him, I would argue, a very likable character.
Kinda.
Like, you're like, yeah, he's a criminal, but look, he's
kind of awkward and goofy.
He could.
He's fat guy. He's jolly.
Yeah. Nope. No.
Oh,
nope.
boy. Yeah, Car Door Decapitation. It's a good band name, by the way.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
wow.
Testing it for stress factors.
Oh.
To quote Fear and Loathing Las Vegas.
Yeah. High bars of violence escalate in this show. That's the end of the episode, basically. He says, he does say, tell
Vladimir.
No, tell Melvin I will need a new suit.
Oh yeah, No, he says Mr. Purvis.
Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter.
Yes, Melvin Potter.
Mr. Potter.
The Gladiator. Oh, not in this show though.
We're gonna get there.
Kind of. Tell him I need a new suit.
Yeah.
Because he got the Kevlar cut the fabric.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's In the Blood.
Episode 4. I enjoyed this episode probably the most out of this viewing. I don't know why. It's just like it seemed to be a much more solid episode for me this time around.
I liked it the first time I saw it. D'Onofrio's Kingpin is great, and I'm telling you, the Vanessa, like all the relationships are very well done.
Yes.
I buy everybody in the show.
Yeah,
very important.
As far as like an acting performance, I think D'Onofrio's Kingpin is probably the best of this season. It's just taking it from
yeah.
It's not saying that anyone else is bad.
No, I know what you're saying. If you had to pick one standout, though, I'd say sure, he has the standout role. Season 2, I would say Bernthal has the standout role. Although, slight spoiler because D'Onofrio does come back and he's a little different,
a little bit,
and it's great. His one scene is fantastic.
It really is.
Anyway, there you go, man. That's all right. That's the episode.
Episode 4. We're going to wrap it up for you now because it's been our longest episode to date. We appreciate you sticking with us. Drew, any parting thoughts?
We gotta trim this down.
It's okay. A long episode every once in a while is not going to kill anyone.
But if you look at it, there's a trend right now with our episodes. They're getting longer. You tell us, do we got to trim the fat or we not got to trim the fat? So, and where do we got to trim the fat?
Oh, you want to know where they can trim the fat? Well, they can follow us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Devils Do Pod, or you can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com. Please, again, dear listeners, if you like what you've heard, spread the word about the show, retweet us, share our Facebook page. Every little bit helps. We appreciate it. Court's adjourned.
Yo, Adrian, I did it.
We talked about this last week.
I know, but it's too good.
No, we made a deal. We said if Stallone gets cast in season 3 of Daredevil, you can do that.
As comics have taught us, there is a multiverse, and in some universe out there, he has been.
Okay, if you can then prove the existence of the multiverse in reality and show me the multiverse in which Sylvester Stallone has been cast in Daredevil season 3, then you can do that. Up until that point, up until you do that and prove it irrefutably, you cannot do that.
But I have faith.
Court's adjourned.
Court is adjourned.